80 tons of armor, a congested freeway, and a pursuit that looks like the OJ chase. If someone made a catastrophic policy decision, in this video, we're going to do something no chief would ever authorize in real life. Recreate that slow-speed white Bronco pursuit, but with a main battle tank. Then we'll break down step by step why this would be a nightmare under modern US law, use of force policy, and basic physics. Welcome to Incident Uncovered. Here, we normally dissect real bodycam and dashcam incidents. Today, we're doing something different, but for a reason. We're using a simulation to answer a real-world question. Why do police look so restrained in high-risk pursuits? And what would actually happen if they weren't? We'll use a tank, a virtual freeway, and a recreated version of the OJ chase to test the limits of pursuit policy, the Fourth Amendment, and common sense. Think of this as a controlled lab for bad ideas. Here's our problem. In 1994, millions watched a slow-speed pursuit on live TV and asked, why don't they just ram him? Why don't they box him in? You still see that question today on every new pursuit clip. So we're going to push that question to the extreme. We'll take a suspect vehicle that is effectively impossible to stop with standard patrol cars, a main battle tank, a dense urban freeway like the one used in the OJ pursuit, realistic rules, US constitutional law, modern pursuit policies, and physics. The challenge is simple to state and hard to solve. If a suspect somehow got control of a tank on an urban freeway, what could police do, and what should they do within the law? To explore that, we first need to build our simulation. We're using a commercial game engine here, not because it's perfect, but because it lets us control variables. I can choose traffic density, vehicle types, and damage models. Think of this as a training mock-up, not a literal prediction. We'll pick a main battle tank roughly comparable to an M1 Abrams heavy armor, high torque, but clumsy in tight spaces. We disable any main gun firing. Our suspect is using the tank as a ram, not as artillery. That matters legally. The threat profile changes if rounds are being fired. We'll trace a route that mimics the OJ pursuit, starting on surface streets, merging onto a major freeway, then moving through dense traffic with overhead coverage from a news helicopter camera in-game. Now, here are our rules of engagement for the simulation, based on a synthesis of real US pursuit policies. Rule 1. Preservation of life is paramount. Officers must weigh the danger of the pursuit against the need to immediately apprehend. Rule 2. Deadly force including against the driver is restricted to imminent threats of death or serious bodily harm. Rule 3. Collateral damage matters. You can't justify a tactic that predictably kills uninvolved drivers just to stop one suspect. Rule 4. Jurisdiction and resources are limited. No magic call the tank squad. Agencies have what they have: patrol cars, maybe a SWAT armored rescue vehicle, and air support. With those constraints, let's look at what makes a tank uniquely problematic. First, weight. Our simulated tank is roughly 60-70 tons. A typical patrol SUV is around 2 tons. That mass difference means pit maneuvers, spike strips, and boxing in tactics are basically symbolic. In real life, spike strips work by deflating tires and forcing a driver to slow down. Many tanks use tracks, not conventional tires. Even if you manage to damage road wheels, you're not going to instantly disable something this heavy. It's like trying to stop a freight train with thumbtacks. Second, visibility. From inside a tank, the driver has very limited situational awareness. In our simulation, you can see how hard it is to place the vehicle accurately at civilian traffic speeds. That means one thing for law enforcement: every minute this continues, the risk of an unintentional collision goes up, even if the suspect is trying to be careful. Third, stopping distance. Using the game's physics, we can compare braking from 40 miles per hour. The patrol SUV can stop in a few dozen meters. The tank, it just keeps going. From a legal lens, this matters for the definition of imminent threat. A vehicle that cannot stop quickly on a crowded freeway is a rolling deadly weapon, even if it's moving slowly. So with that context, let's run our first scenario. The naive approach: treat the tank like a large truck, and try standard tactics. Scenario 1. Patrol officers treat this as a big vehicle pursuit. No specialized units yet, no freeway shutdown, just following, radioing updates, and hoping for a safe stop. Watch what happens when a unit attempts a standard slowing maneuver, pulling in front and gradually decelerating. Even at low speed, that contact is catastrophic. Under most policies, that outcome would be considered a foreseeable risk. A plaintiff's attorney would argue, you knew you were dealing with a 60-ton vehicle, and you still placed patrol units directly in its path among civilian traffic. From a risk management standpoint, this is a failure. Notice how lane changes become deadly. The suspect may not even realize they clipped this sedan, but legally, the agency owns part of this risk the second they decide to continue the pursuit under these conditions. So what did we learn from Scenario 1? Standard boxing and pacing tactics do not scale up to armored vehicles. Every attempt to physically control the tank with normal cruisers multiplies the danger to uninvolved drivers. In other words, policy would likely force supervisors to change tactics or terminate entirely very quickly. Scenario 2. Command staff treat this as a rolling hazardous event, not a typical pursuit. They order a freeway shutdown and attempt to swim lane, the suspect keeping them in a sterile corridor. This reflects what many agencies already do in high-risk incidents. Close entry ramps ahead of the suspect. Gradually bleed off traffic from behind. Use air support as primary observation to reduce the need for close contact. From above, this starts to look a lot like the OJ chase, a single vehicle moving down a mostly empty freeway, followed at a respectful distance. The public asks, why aren't they doing more? Legally and tactically, this is often the least bad option, especially when your only alternative is ramming a tank into a crowd. Under Tennessee v. Garner and subsequent case law, deadly force is justified when a suspect poses a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to others. A rolling tank on an empty freeway is dangerous, but the danger is more controllable than an attempted forcible stop in heavy traffic. In the simulation, once we clear traffic, the risk profile changes. The tank is still a threat, but it's now mostly a threat to infrastructure and the driver themselves. Supervisors might decide to continue shadowing, attempting communication, and waiting for a better intervention point. So Scenario 2 shows us this. The tactic that looks the most passive on TV, just following, may, under these facts, be the most legally defensible and ethically sound choice. Now, let's move into the realm that fascinates people but rarely exists in reality. Scenario 3. Tank versus tank, or its closest available equivalent. In the US, very few civilian law enforcement agencies have anything approaching a main battle tank. Some have heavy tracked rescue vehicles or repurposed military equipment, but deploying them on a live freeway is its own legal and political nightmare. We'll simulate a heavy armored block at an overpass. A large armored vehicle parked across lanes with no civilian traffic nearby. From a physics perspective, this works. We produce a high-energy collision that stops the suspect. But from a legal and policy perspective, this is nearly the last resort. You're intentionally causing a massive crash. The margin for error is razor thin. If even one civilian vehicle is misrouted into this zone, the consequences are life-ending. The after-action investigation would ask, was every other less destructive alternative exhausted first? Remember, law enforcement is not judged on what was possible in a video game. They're judged on what a reasonable officer would do under the circumstances, with the information they had at the time. A deliberate tank-on-tank collision on a public freeway would have to meet an extraordinarily high threshold of necessity. I'm going to let this play with minimal interruption so you can absorb the dynamics. We've combined elements of all three scenarios: initial chaos and traffic, then a freeway shutdown, then an eventual hard stop. Watch how long this goes on. In our simulation, we're already past the 30-minute mark. In real life, that's 30 minutes of news helicopters, social media, and public pressure asking, why aren't they doing something? And in the end, the most realistic stop isn't a spectacular explosion. It's something mundane, fuel, to terrain, or a carefully prepared closure point away from civilians. That's the real lesson. Real-world pursuits often end not with Hollywood tactics, but with time, coordination, and attrition. Let's step back and answer the question we started with. Why do police sometimes appear passive in pursuits, and why didn't they just ram the white Bronco? Our tank experiment gave us 3 key insights: scale breaks tactics, standard tools pit, boxing. Spike strips are built for cars and light trucks. Once you change the scale to something like a tank or even a fully loaded semi, those tools become symbolic at best and dangerous at worst. Public safety beats public optics. The choice that looks decisive on TV is often the most reckless on the street. Pursuit policies exist because history shows that aggressive interdictions can kill more bystanders than they save. Law and physics set hard limits. The Fourth Amendment, case law like Garner and Graham v. Connor, and simple braking distance all combine to narrow the options. If the only way to stop a suspect today is to predictably kill several uninvolved people, that option is off the table. So although we played this out with the tank, the principles apply to more common scenarios: stolen box trucks, RVs, even heavy pickups, towing trailers. The question is always, does the intervention reduce overall risk or just move it onto different victims? Using a video game to test police tactics might look absurd, but it gives us a safe sandbox to explore worst-case scenarios that we hope never occur in reality. We took the most infamous slow-speed pursuit in American pop culture, exaggerated the suspect's vehicle to a tank, and asked, if this happened for real under US law and policy, what tolls would actually be on the table? The answer is sobering: no magic solutions, lots of patience, and a constant balancing act between catching one suspect and protecting everyone else on the road. I'm curious what you think. Which moment in this simulated tank chase stood out to you the most, and why? Was it a tactical decision, a legal gray area, or just the raw physics of 80 tons moving through traffic? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to see more of these virtual labs, where we stress test real-world law enforcement procedures against extreme, simulated scenarios, tell me what you'd put on the freeway next. A stolen armored cash truck? A convoy of getaway cars? If you found this breakdown useful, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next incident we uncover, real or reconstructed. Thanks for watching.